up, Rocket Nation? Hopefully you guys are having the best and the most amazing Monday ever in the history of Mondays that have ever Mondayed. We're back today with some more Black Myth Wukong. After we now have reviews, our first actual gameplay, people telling us what they think about Star Wars Outlaws. I want to talk about that, see what you guys think about that one, because obviously we play all the games here. Are we going to play Star Wars Outlaws? I don't know. Does this game even come out on Steam? That's another thing I want to talk about. We got to find out if it's coming out on Steam, number one. I feel like that's going to be the deciding factor on that. We got to figure out what we're doing in Black Myth Wukong today. Talk about how awesome yesterday's episode was with the 1 billion secrets that we uncovered yesterday. That was super badass. And then what else happened? There was something else that had happened, right? Oh yeah. That whole Gamescom thing. I want to know what you guys saw at Gamescom that you thought was the most amazing thing you've ever seen in the history of ever. And I want to check it out. That's what we're going to do for about the first half hour, maybe 20 minutes. And then we're going to jump in to chapter three of Sun Wu Rocket. That's what we're calling the game now. It's Sun Wu Sauce. Sun Wu Sauce. That's what it is. Let me catch up and chat here real quick. Ishi says, imagine if the thrusters fell off and landed in the crowd below. That is dark as fuck. And we take off in this kind of pitch for that reason exactly. So that when we do go and make it to low Earth orbit, we're actually over the ocean, and the thrusters, what doesn't burn up on re-entry, will actually fall into the ocean, and the fucking fish can worry about it. And the sea monsters. We don't care about them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Little jet fuel never hurt. Oh, it did hurt a fish? Okay, I apologize. I didn't realize that it hurt fish. That's going to be on me. That's my bad. All right? We need to be educated. That's all it is. If you need to be educated. Ishi, it's good to see you. How are you today, buddy? How are you? Boogie says, he didn't have a ticket. You didn't have a ticket, Ugh, you get left behind. That's the way it goes. You don't have a ticket, you don't get in. All right? And all you got to do to get a ticket is just ask. Just like, can I have a ticket? Boogie hands you a ticket, and then you hand it back to him. It's really that simple. It's not a complicated process. You ain't got to pay for it. All you got to do is show up. It's pretty simple. Bleeding says, I just watched a vid on the new Star Wars. It looks good. Does it, though? I listened to about 3 reviews, and all of them said basically the same thing. It's all right. It's all right, is what I heard. It looks good. It doesn't run too well, from what I hear, which it's a Ubisoft game. I fully anticipate that if I didn't install it on the same hard drive as my operating system, it probably will stutter and kind of be shitty as far as performance goes. But the number one thing we got to figure out, let me turn down that music just a little bit, just a wee little bit, just a little bit. Is that good? Or is that too much? Did I go too far on the turn down button? Turn down for what? Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, does it come out on Steam? Please tell me it comes out on Steam. I am leaning towards not getting Outlaws now, because I have zero trust in Massive Entertainment to handle just about anything, and that's just me personally. I think, listen, I love Division, but I know from years of playing the Division and Division 2, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, like, they make great games. It's not that they don't make great games, but balance. I don't even know how to put it into words. What, like, there's always bugs. There's nothing ever gets fixed. I don't know. That's always the way that I feel when it comes to Massive Entertainment and their games. But let me look up here. Star Wars Outlaws, right? It's not. Uh-oh. This might be the deciding factor right here. First off, Star Wars isn't spelled with a B, in case anybody didn't know that. Yeah, no Star Wars Outlaws on, man. Did the devs create the Division in the fan base? What? What do you mean? Did the devs create a Division? I see. Play on words. That's called a pun. Welcome, Rocket. Congratulations. You're fucking stupid. Hold on. So no, it did not release on Steam. Man, you know, Ubisoft will never learn. My original plan was to get this game. I think my new plan for this is going to be to hold off until it comes out on Steam. Because like in a month, did they actually announce a Steam release? Star Wars Outlaws Steam release. Friday, August 30th. Scheduled for global release. Blah, 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 blah. Will not be on Steam. Yeah, so can confirm not on Steam. Is it coming to Steam? When Star Wars Outlaw launches on August 30th, it will not be available on Steam. However, there is a solid chance, so that's somebody writing an article for no reason whatsoever. I love those articles. Star Wars Outlaw performance analysis. In a galaxy far, far away. There is gameplay of Star Wars Outlaws, and it's the first episode. Yeah, there's full release, there's full reviews out for it and everything now. Yeah. Boogie says, but I have to tear the ticket. That is true. When you do give your ticket to Boogie, he does have to tear it in half, and then he so that they can't be reused. I mean, you don't want to reuse tickets, right? Right? Boogie, you're tearing those in half. Those cost money. You should talk to me first before you do that. You're supposed to be reusing them. No wonder we're over budget. Damn it, man. Tale of Iron 2, says Ishi. What are you talking about, Ishi? Oh, there is one game that I know I'll get eventually. The Tale of Iron 2. Did the devs... Okay. I'm all over in chat. I'm sorry. Goob says, I watched streaming of Star Wars Outlaw pre-release game key. It looked really nice. Yeah, it looks good. It really does look good. From what I've seen of it, I watched about maybe 10 or 15 minutes when I was jogging this morning. I was watching it. I had it on the phone, and I had the phone propped up on the window, and was watching some of it, and it looked really good. But yeah, review continues. However, insert game will, and it's gorgeous. Yeah, it is gorgeous. It is really good looking. It does seem to, at least from the look of it, it seems to capture what you would want a game to look like if it was based in the Star Wars universe. And from what ACG said, if you don't know, ACG reviewer over on YouTube, awesome reviewer, does a really good job. He had said that even the areas that we've never seen before in film, they still felt like a Star Wars universe. Like even those new areas that we've never seen before. Boogie says, let me tear the damn ticket, Rocket. It's all I got. I'm sorry. You can tear the ticket. You tear the ticket. That's fine. Tear the ticket. We'll just be over budget. We'll dump some fuel. We won't fill up all the way. We'll leave on 3/4 of a tank. We'll make it, right? I hope we don't die. Mermaid, what up? How are you today? Good to see you. Goob says, did you ever reach the window so you can turn it off? Turn the window? You don't turn a window off, Goobin. I don't know if you know that. You do not turn a window off. In front of the window, you might turn me on. But no, stop it. Knock it off. Not the time or the place. I get it. All right, so let's see the overall. Let's see. So it doesn't come to Steam. So there's 1 point in the negative because Uplay is fucking horrible. Number one. Also, no Steam achievements. So there's that. And then also the maybe the biggest one is performance is always way shittier on not way shittier, but it's always worse on Uplay than it is on Steam. So let's just put one notch in the cons section. In the cons section. My windows are powered by electricity, says Ishimura. The video, silly man, I am sorry. I'm not, but I'm sorry. I am, but I'm not. I am, but I'm not, says. So basically, you're apologizing for not giving a shit, is what you're saying. That's me in a nutshell. Is the window, wait, the window isn't maybe the window isn't attracted to you, says Boogie. You might turn it off. That's true. Maybe if it does, maybe it's not into no-haired white middle-aged men, and it's doesn't get off on that. I get it. To each their own. I'm not gonna kink shame that window at all. What were we really talking about? Listen, we need review scores. Scores. I'm trying to figure out like what's that Metacritic? Metacritic at 77%. IGN 7 out of 10. Shock News? Who the fuck is Shack News? IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. You know it's bad if IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. Can I get more reviews than just... Is there only 2 major reviews on the game? I mean, I've watched at least 3 other ones. Anybody know of a good website? Middle-aged? Middle-aged, says Mirko. Middle-aged. I'm going to play it for the Star Wars. I like the Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, but listen, man, I have Sun Wukong in my hands. Am I willing to give up Sun Wukong for a few days to play a shitty game? No, I'm not. Like, there's just too many good games out there. If Ubisoft has done the same Ubisoft thing, I don't know. I don't know if I want to. Plus, it's not on Steam. That pisses me off. Just fucking release it on Steam. There's nothing, you're actually losing money by not releasing it on Steam, and that to me is mind-boggling. Why Ubisoft continues to make stupid decision after stupid decision. I usually go to the before you buy guy when it comes to reviews. Jake Baldino is his name, right? Isn't that who does the before you buy stuff? Let's see what he has to say. Before you buy Star Wars. Whoops. Star Wars Outlaw. That's Joe Raptor. Gaming Bolt has their 15 things to know before you purchase. IGN has the full review. Gaming Bolt, 10 things to know. So he hasn't actually got to it yet. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen a video from him yet. That is Jake Baldino, right? Who does the before you buys. Well, I can't play Black Myth Wukong, so I'll play the Star Wars. You can too. It's on PlayStation, Boogie. You got a PlayStation, don't you? It's coming to Xbox, so you might be holding off to get it on Xbox. Gaming Bolt does have a review for it. Let's listen to what Gaming Bolt has to say. Hold up. Crank it. Let's pause that music for a second. Here we go.
A lightsaber. It wasn't anything special.
Sorry.
Earlier this week, I bought myself a lightsaber. It wasn't anything special. I picked up one of those cheaper ones that I could find, but it turned out to be a decent purchase nonetheless. Its speakers produced surprisingly high-quality sound effects. It let me switch the color of its blade. I could sheath and unsheath it using motion sensors. You know, the regular stuff that you'd expect from the majority of lightsaber
Boogie, it's not that hard.
Days.
Don't even think about it. It's not that hard.
Why exactly am I bringing
all this up here? It's not a Souls-like.
Because, frustratingly enough, the time I spent goofing around with that lightsaber, I'm 29 before you ask, was probably a more enjoyable Star Wars experience for me than the time that I've spent
like that
with
looked dope.
Outlaw.
That looked dope right there. That was pretty badass looking. Go back.
More enjoyable Star Wars experience for me.
That maybe didn't look so great. Like this whole bump into the side of the and just bounce right off of it. I'd be like, you should immediately. It should have went and then it should have shot off and then exploded and then shot off, tumbling across the grass. Here is what it should have done. Like that. Yeah, the sound effect was on point, wasn't it? Man, hire me. Maybe I'll help you out.
The time that I've spent with Star Wars Outlaws.
Punch that bit. Oh, damn.
Okay, we need someone to relieve me soon.
Nice shot. Did you just give up? So now it's devolved into a...
That's not to say massive entertainment, spacefaring action-adventure title isn't a fun time, occasionally at the very least. It nails the Star Wars aesthetic. It boasts solid open-world design, and playing the role of a classic Han Solo-esque Star Wars scoundrel often does feel exhilarating.
You see her little pet that she has next to him? Watch right here.
Solo-esque Star Wars scoundrel.
See it right there? So cute.
Often does feel...
Go back to the broken roof, 67 meters.
Exhilarating. The problem, however, is that
Hide out
Outlaw's
against the
biggest
Empire.
strengths are buried underneath a pile of significant issues. From technical rough edges and inconsistent writing to some aged design choices and more. This is a game that stumbles often, and in ways that aren't always easy to forgive, especially when you look at the sum total of its flaws. A bad game? Certainly not, but a rough one nonetheless, and maybe not necessarily the Star Wars game that you're looking for.
Which is not the game you're looking for. Let me stand in the doorway, right?
Come on, I just need my data spike fixed.
In Star Wars Outlaws, you play as Kay Vess, a Canto Bight local who dreams of escaping the bustling planet and making it big in the galaxy's criminal underworld. And with no one other than her adorable buddy Nix to take care of her,
that's its
there's
name,
not much that's stopping her, other than the fact that in the underworld, she's not even big enough to be a small fry. Set between the events of episodes 5 and 6, however, Outlaw's galaxy is in turmoil, which means those looking to circumvent the law and possessing the skill to do so always have plenty of work to find. The job Kay lands, however, lands her in hot water with one of the richest and most powerful syndicates in the galaxy, following which Kay's goal now is to keep making a name for herself in the underworld, while staying safe from the many enemies that she's made and continues to make.
Bleeding, I'm sorry to hear about that, man. Is everything okay? You got an infection or something? Is that what it is? That's what's causing the headaches? I just read that, sorry, by the way. You're doing better today? Awesome. Toothaches are the fucking worst, man. They're the worst. That looks fucking cool. You know what? Wait, hold on. Go back. No, one more. I mean, the fireworks aren't that great. But still, it's cool seeing the scope. Like, creating that scope is pretty dope. She's got a good locomotion to her movement.
From the day it was released, Star Wars Outlaws has been billed by its developers as the ultimate Star Wars scoundrel fantasy. And that in particular is something that the game captures really well.
I'm just guessing that it's not great controls on a controller. That's all and listen, that's what that looked like to me. Mermaid says, I never had a toothache, but I see people every day with toothaches. You do? Wait a minute. What do you do for a living? Wait a minute.
From the Hutts and the Pikes to the Crimson Dawn and the newly introduced Ashiga clan, Star Wars Outlaws sees Kay dealing with a number of different criminal factions, who, as you might expect, are often working against each other themselves. Watching Kay navigate the underworld and getting to actually be in charge of her attempts to successfully
this is where I really get excited about this game. Like, if they nail this portion of the game, can I feel like an outlaw, you know? I mean, it's in the name.
One of the highlights of the game. The writing here can be pretty rough from time to time, which is particularly true in many of
Mermaid
the
says,
less
I'm a
important
dentist.
quests.
I'm a dentist.
Usually the optional ones, but by and large, there's enjoyment to be had in the story that Outlaw tells. It helps that the gameplay reflects the game scoundrel's fantasy ambitions really well.
That looks really good right there. Look at the shine, like on their, I mean, this is kind of what Star Wars is known for. It's either dusty and like in poor person town, or everything is shiny. And look at like the suits here. It's also a nice car.
Had in the story that Outlaw tells.
Go forward.
It helps that the gameplay reflects the game scoundrel's fantasy ambitions really well.
Like that look cool.
Only in flashes. There's often a very improvisational vibe to the things that you do in the really sticky situations. Whether it's firefights we're speaking of or hand-to-hand duels, or even something like speeder chases. Kay is very much the sort of protagonist who thrives under
That
pressure,
looks like it feels
using her
good.
quick thinking and varied skill set as an outlaw to great effect, especially when plans go wrong, which happens fairly often. Just as the Star Wars Jedi games have done an excellent job of putting players in the shoes of a force-wielding Jedi warrior, so too does Outlaw succeed in successfully letting you play the role of a quick-thinking, smooth-talking, if fairly unexperienced spacefaring criminal. On a more zoomed-out level, the reputation system shines as well. As Kay deals with the different syndicates of the galaxy's outer rim, she makes plenty of difficult decisions, which in turn impact where
I
she
can't
stands
help
with those
but every time I see one of these aliens, I just want to grab listen. It's just forget it. Forget it.
actions.
I apologize.
That has both
It's just
gameplay
a
and
thought that
narrative
runs through my
consequences,
mind
with the
every
end
time I
result
see
being
one.
a system that contributes significantly to bringing the game's scoundrel fantasy to life. Credit where credit is due, Star Wars Outlaw's reputation system is an excellent marriage of narrative and game design. And yet, in spite of the fact that Outlaws does successfully nail the, outlaw vibe that it's trying to go for, as a gameplay experience, it's so often a frustrating one. One of the biggest
Yeah, I don't
reasons
want to
for
see that
is the
bleeding.
moment-to-moment game
If
feel
I
just
end up, I mean,
isn't
I'm gonna
great.
get it.
Movement.
The only question is, am I gonna get it now or am I gonna wait for the Steam release? Because it's gonna come out on Steam. I mean, Star Wars Survivor, and every other game that comes out for Ubisoft, they always come to Steam. The only question, so I don't want to see like the first hour or nothing.
It feels clunky, parkour and traversal feel stiff and slow, and animations are often glitched. Just the simple act of moving around when Kay is on foot feels surprisingly clunky,
Wow.
which is an issue that's
Look at
further
the belligerent fucking wind on this fucking map right here.
act of
Jesus.
moving around when Kay
Look
is
at
on
the
foot
fucking
feels
trees.
surprisingly clunky, which is an issue that's
They're
further
all
compounded by the
bent
game's
way
lack
over.
of technical polish.
I
More
like
on
that.
in a bit. When even the simplest of actions so often just don't feel right when you've got your hands on the controller, it's hard to be having fun with the game. Certain specific aspects of the gameplay also feel a bit underbaked. Take, for instance, the aforementioned traversal mechanics, which take the form of Uncharted-style climbing, but somehow end up feeling even more restrictive, to the point of almost feeling like just a little more than a series of QTEs. Then,
Quick
there
time
are the
events.
game's stealth sections,
In
which
case you guys
combine
didn't know.
all the AAA stealth tropes that we're familiar with annoyingly inconsistent enemy AI. The progression mechanics thankfully do feel more fleshed out and rewarding. As an action-adventure title, Star Wars Outlaws takes a pretty lean and focused approach in this area, but from Kay's equipment to her blaster, from her speeder to her ship, the Trailblazer, there are enough meaningful upgrades for players to chase. Frankly though, if those were the biggest gameplay issues Star Wars Outlaws had, it would still be a better game than it is now, because one of its biggest failings comes in the form of some shockingly dated design decisions. Nothing exemplifies that better than the amount of insta-fail sections in the game. Star Wars Outlaws isn't a particularly good stealth
busted.
game, as I've mentioned, so to force players to engage with those mechanics and sections that punish you with instant failure if you don't, seems like a particularly poor decision. The kind that you don't expect to see a major AAA developer making in today's day and age, especially not one of massive entertainment's caliber.
Need a distraction, Nix.
Gotcha, bitch. And busted. Oh. Gotcha. Caught.
Those unnecessary gameplay restrictions feel even more frustrating when juxtaposed against the level of freedom that the game encourages elsewhere. On a micro level, for instance, you do often get more than one way of dealing with situations.
Bleeding says Fallen Order and Survivor did great. Well, I mean, Fallen Order did. I mean, they both sold well because they were cool games. Survivor, at least on most, listen, I hear there's one or two people that didn't have issues, but as far as most people go, it didn't perform well as far as performance. From what I heard, it was not. It's the only reason why I still haven't played it is I'm waiting for them to patch the game and make it so that on PC it even runs somewhat okay. Which it's not entirely the developer's fault with this game because it is UE5 and what it's really suffers from is a whole lot of traversal stutters, and that is a UE5 thing. I don't know if they'll ever be able to fix it, to be honest. Because I think they're using an old UE5, an old version of UE5. But he says Jedi Survivor had a lot of bugs when it came out, but when they fixed it later, they fixed it later on with the patches. Are you sure about that? Are you for real? Are you sure? Because I watched a review like about a month ago of somebody who played it after. It was Digital Foundry did it. It was well, you know, it's probably older than a month ago now. I think it's probably like 2 or 3 months ago now. But they did an after review of it, and they said that it was still a absolute mess. Well, I'm also on PC. Are you playing on console? I don't know if you're playing on console too. Then I can't speak to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have it in the library now because it was on sale on Steam for, what was it, like 20 some dollars. So I was like, fuck it, why not buy it then? Am I really going to find it any cheaper? Yeah, Bleeding, where do you play at? Why did I, maybe systems? Okay. So you do play on console? That I can't speak to. They did a review, like a look back to see if it's been fixed after patches. And they said it was an absolute mess. But they haven't done anything to fix it yet, basically, is what they had said. The frame pacing is super bad. And obviously, I mean, like I said, there's issues with UE5, that version of UE5. They might not be willing to put the money into, and it might not be worth it to them, to put the money into updating the engine. Because, I mean, it takes time, takes people. They might not have the time or the people. It ran okay on Xbox, but there still were some stutters. Yeah. And apparently that's just that version of I mean, even the current version of UE5 still has traversal stutters in a lot of games. But it's, yeah, that in that version that they used of UE5, it's a well-known issue. I wonder if Unreal Engine's going to actually, like, if they have to be looking into it, right? Like, they can't just let it go.
Using Nyx's help to distract or incapacitate foes, to utilize the different modules of your blaster, to combining shooting and fisticuffs in equal
I want to
measure.
play it regardless.
On a more zoomed out level,
because I
meanwhile,
love the first one. Fallen Order was dope.
Impresses in more ways than
I never finished it,
chief
though.
among them being how unformulaic it feels.
I never did finish it.
Rather than taking a modular cut and paste approach, Star Wars Outlaws Open World instead
that
feels
didn't
a
run
lot
good
more
on PC
organic
either,
than
by
you'd
the way.
expect. With the game having plenty
I have a 4090, and when you get to the planet where the Wookiees are, oh my god. Good, have fun. That was fucking horrible.
Tricks up its sleeve to allow you to lead up from distractions to distraction as you explore its interstellar map. The more natural flow of exploration, rather than simply following markers or going down a list of quests, does elevate the open world side of the experience, if nothing else. There's also a healthy variety of side activities on offer, including plenty of spaceflight and combat.
Look at this planet, how windy it is.
Quite fun. Movement in space, in fact, feels as tight and responsive as Kay's on-foot movement feels clunky, which incidentally just makes the latter.
I feel like he's basically doing the same thing. Like, here's a good thing and here's a bad thing. Here's a good thing, here's a bad thing. Here's a good thing, here's a bad thing. You know, it's basically, yeah, I think we're getting the gist of what we're getting out of it. You know what? Oh, what is today? Today's the 26th. I'm leaning towards waiting. Until at least it gets a Steam release. See if a lot of these, the little things might get worked out. I know, a couple of you had said that, yes, you want to see it. So it's a 7 out of 10 game. Basically, that's what I'm getting. Is that it's an experience. It's okay. It's okay. That's it. And there's nothing special. There's nothing about it to be like, this is, yeah. Another thing that I had heard from ACG's review was that I believe it was ACG's. Maybe I'm misquoting that too. So I apologize, ACG, if I am. But I believe he had said that basically the game, the story wasn't really that good. That, like, he actually, towards the end of it, was, as he's looking back on it now, doesn't understand what the story of Kay was. Like, he doesn't exactly know what the story was. So yeah, Mad Lag says Bleeding. That's gonna be on your side. That's gonna be on your side, buddy. Yeah. So you know what? I think we're gonna hold off. For the Steam release. Then it's gonna. The hope is that within the next month we'll see it on Steam. I mean, how long did it take for? Let's look that up. How long did it take for Jedi Survivor to release on Steam. Wow, that was so long. Well, when did it release on Steam, I guess? Did it release on Steam at the same time? I don't know. It's looking like it. Yeah, I can't get a good answer on it. All right, whatever. Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off. Guys. Not only because I would rather have it on Steam, not only because we have another game that we're playing right now that is a stellar game of the year competitor up against, we're gonna be taking the time away from this to play Survivor. Then you know what I mean. But also because, and I only say this because you guys know I share everything. If we do Jedi Survivor, that actually puts the stream into a negative this month. And yeah, as far as money goes, the stream becomes into a negative if we get Jedi Survivor 2. So that does play a role as well.